Hello, welcome back to my old games, and today I'm going to be trying something a bit different where I'm going to be looking at one of my old league matches and just, walking through certain moments of it and explaining different parts and decisions and that kind of thing. It's going to give you a few tips on the champion I was playing, which at the moment is Shyvana, and, kind of just a few different things, and this was a fairly good match if I recall correctly, we won. At the moment I'm using a piece of software called Log Recorder, which allows you to watch back your games in spectator mode like I'm doing now, and it's incredibly small files. I mean, it's a few meg per. I think this one's about 15 meg, and it's a 50-minute game. If you were to record that in Fraps, you wouldn't get the spectator mode, and that'd be a number, probably about 4 or 5, maybe even, well, probably even 10 gig. So, has its advantages. At the moment, I'm just looking at our vision of the map, but you can see they have a Shaco and we have a Shaco. Whichever one of these gets ahead is probably going to be the deciding factor in this match. Now, just to quickly pause and give you some idea of, roughly who went where. It was me and Yasuo against each other top, and at the moment he's not got vision of me, so he doesn't know. I started defensively with Duran's shield. Although I don't know, he's gone a bit more aggressive with Duran's blade. It's Zarya versus Zed mid, so a fairly decent matchup, although I think Zed would win out on that one purely on sustain. As I said, Shaco v Shaco jungle, so that's all about the individual player, the runes masteries, that kind of thing. And a Twitch Braum bottom, Twitch Alistair bottom lane, which is fairly decent when they can get decently ahead, versus Braum, the new champion, and Ayres bot lane. Well, again, that's with Braum being a new champion, I can't really make too much of a judgment on that one, although I have seen him be pretty powerful. Now, you may wonder why I'm showing this out this game, and it's because of something that happened around here. I'm just going to speed this up a little bit, just to probably about 150. Because you can see, Shaco's dropping his jack in the boxes, and I'm just hovering around here. Because at the moment, I've got no vision of this area around here. So I'm assuming there's probably 2 or 3 there. He's probably going to end up smiting it, which, to his mistake, he didn't. As you can see, Az has been a bit pushed on with Ez and Braum, so they've had to call off a bit of support for some help. Oh, you see down here, I'm keep watching over here trying to make sure they're alright, but I'm also watching the timing on the blue, so when it gets low on ours, I can come in and get the blue steal. And that's something to remember when it doesn't work as well in ranked, but when you play normal games or team builder, something like that where you can steal the enemy's blue, where you got similar or the same jungler, time it right and you can steal somebody's blue. And admittedly, it doesn't give me too much of a help in the top lane against Yasuo, but just to quickly pause here, if you look down at the bottom left, my XP bar is nearly full. I'm almost level 2. Yasuo was up in this bush and never got any of the XP from these minions, and currently is behind in XP, and I have a blue buff. This whilst he did end up pushing me down towards the start of the game, and yeah, he did dominate the lane pretty hard, it just gave me that little bit of an edge early on, which meant I could sit back and just take the lane a bit easier. It also meant my cooldowns were lower, so since I went for my E first, I had some poke, as that's Shyvana's only ranged attack. Now you can see here I'm playing defensively. After the first wave comes up to the turret, I'm just trying my best to last hit. I'm also trying to get him to pull tower aggro, as that would help me out, doing some damage to him. And at this point I still do have the blue buff, and that's got some time left, just over half the time. So, I had the slight advantage with that, but it's to early on it's a lot more than it is later on. But you can see I got level 3 first, and in hindsight I probably should have gone for a bit more damage there, but having the Duran's shield means I'm going for more of a defensive game, and with his shield as well, plus his Duran's blade, I think he would, again in hindsight, he probably would have won the trade. But since he's just that bit behind on XP, and that let me just, it gave me the opportunity to be a bit more defensive throughout the lane. Another thing you may notice, I've watered Tri-Bush instead of this bush here, just so you can see, that's my ward, that's it, and this one down here is his. The reason I've watered this, well, I'm up by my turret for most of this lane so far, so having this bush watered is a lot more useful, and that's something, that applies to both lanes. If you're up by your turret in bot lane down here, you're going to want to ward here, rather than warding here, as, that's where a jungler is likely to gank from. Admittedly, their jungler was behind, and, well, especially behind. If you look at the 4-minute 9, our jungler is halfway through level 3, and fairly high on health and mana. Their jungler Their jungler's still not got his blue buff since it's not respawned yet, and he's only almost level 3, and he's nearly dead. You know, that Shaco losing his blue put him behind through that. I'm just going to let this clip here roll for a bit, as, you know, Yasuo's getting a bit angry at me. However, I see Shaco in the mid lane, and he's not going to gank the mid. He's coming up top, due to a ping I just put out on the map. And you can see he's just pinged these on his way up. I know I'm low on health, so I do want to just keep poking him down, as I've been doing throughout the game. And that's something else you want to do when you're about to get ganked in any situation, really. Is just play normally how you were doing. Don't let on that you're about to fall back. He's just taken 2 turret shots, and Shaco just moved on them. It's a very, very easy kill, especially with the red buff. Shaco takes that, I'd say the farm, and I do get a bit aggressive on the turret. This one's a long clip, so I'm going to speed it up a little. Another advantage to the spectator mode. Yasuo's low, and I'm playing a bit defensive as I use the ammo I've just drunk a pot. We've got there's Shaco in the bush, who I hadn't seen yet. However, as Shaco comes in, we get the ET double, and Zara comes in as well, just in case we need the help. Admittedly, I probably should have let Shaco take at least one of the kills. He did put in some effort, but 2 kills and an assist for really, you know, for, you know, nothing in mid that's been made, nothing happening in return. It did just slightly edge the gold lead in our favour. We're only 5k gold ahead, but as always, 5k is better than nothing. Sorry, 5k, 500. Yeah. Now, just in case you're wondering, as for the build that I took, I went for the early Hydra. However, I wasn't getting quite enough farm to kind of warrant that, and I was going back far too often, meaning I could never quite build it up. So in the end, somebody actually recommended to me to go play the Ruin King, as it's got damage, it's got a slow, and it's quite a nice top lane item if you are a bit behind. And I also got the cloth armor, as you can see, kind of like at the top of the right hand side. I've got the cloth armor, I've got the wards, got the health pots. It's all about the sustain and staying safe against their Shaco. And that was kind of my biggest fear at that point in the game, was the Shaco, as I know I annoyed him early on, and I think, you know, a Shaco can be quite annoying. The cloth armor was, because they're an all AD team, and this is something I made a big mistake with. You know, you look at Ez, well, he can go hybrid, but he's an AD carry, he's going to go AD. Zed's an AD mid, we had an AP mid, and our support also did some magic damage. The only AP they ever got, if I recall correctly, was the Spirit of the Elder Lizard on Shaco. It's not a lot of AP relative to what we had. And you can see here I'm just trying to make the best of a bad situation. I don't know, if I recall right, I don't end up getting anything out of it though. But I've got the blue buff from their Shaco a few minutes ago. So I say a few minutes ago, just now I think. No? A few minutes ago. Yeah. I know my stuff. Oh no, I do get a kill. Do I get the Z though? I think Shaco gets the Z or he gets away. Question, where did he go? You can see Zed, we're both... Oh, I've given up. Shaco's trying to meet him down here. Zed sees it and just runs away. And he shadows over the wall. Yeah, fair enough, clever Zed. Zeds are usually quite tricky to kill. Now this is just a part of the game where we have a bit of a team fight at 20 minutes. You see I've roamed down from the top lane. Note that I twitched in the top lane as Shaco's recalling. You know, we're not exactly in the best spot for a team fight here, since at best it's going to be a 3v4 since that Shaco's dead. Yasuo's in the top lane as well, and he's roaming down to help his team. And we have vision of their team at the moment, and that's all we had as an advantage during this fight was vision. You can see Braum just trying to get the concussive blow down on one of us so he can proc his passive. At the moment, Alistair actually had vision of that, so he went into that knowing what would happen. You can see our Shaco come down in his stealth, just trying to get some more damage down. And as Zara falls, which means most of our AP damage is gone. However, in her death, she still manages to kill Yasuo. Braum dies even after using his ultimate. However, I have to use my ultimate to get the killing blow, and together me and Shaco managed to take down their Shaco, who would respawn by this point. Zed then decides to come in, and he focuses down Shaco, and I actually go the wrong way for it. But as you can see, Twitch comes in, and I'm on the other side, so it was just a case of sandwiching him in. However, Ezreal's coming in as well, so I decided to move away since I'm getting a bit low, and well, he got the kill, so, you know, fairly decent team fight. And we actually managed to turn this into a dragon for us as well, since Zed's not going to be able to take it from us. Well, it's not likely that he would, although he does have double bluff, so he did have to be careful. Something we could have improved here was positioning around the dragon. If I'd stayed somewhere here to the lower end of the Dragon Pit, since all we'd seen was said was around here somewhere. Admittedly, at this point we did have vision of him, but it would still have been smart to position someone here just in case he does go for skill shots or something like that. However, we don't get the dragon for nothing. Yasuo TP's up top, burning his TP admittedly, but I've also burned mine to try and get over there. So, you know, again, 6 one half dozen the other. Turret falls, we get the dragon, and I also get a bit of poke down onto Yasuo, enough to make him back off. Now this is one of those points where I'm on about decision making, because as you can see, down here, the rest of the teams are grouping up for team fight, and you can see I start to head down. However, my TP's on cooldown, it's still got about half left, so is Yasuo's. Something to note there, both TP's are down. However, Alistair has to recall due to, if I correctly, low mana, and he probably had some gold to spend at that point as well. I then decide to push the turret, so if they decide to push up, I'm in position to come and flank them. Shaco finally gets his blue buff, which I'm not stealing from him this time, and I decided to just check, see what the timing is on that. If I recall rightly, I don't actually see the time, like the actual blue buff fall, but I do get a timer, so I know it's down. Shaco then goes back up to clear the wave, and at this point I'm near my team. The enemy team don't know it, they have no vision, but I'm near my team. It's currently a 4v5 in our favour. As we push up, I join up with the team, and that means Shaco's out of position. At this point, one of their big sources of damage. Admittedly, they still do have the 2 shields, which means, you know, we can't get much poke down. But the big thing to remember is the rotations as we move around. We've got the turret, we get a decent push on this, pushing it from our turret to theirs, and it's a 4v5 in our favour. Now that team fight from earlier, we managed to turn into the turret, which means they're now down to one of their inhibitors turrets and both the lanes are pushed. We had one turret up, which, deciding difference. But we also managed to lose this turret here, which, again, could be a difference. We go in for another team fight, and we do get slightly focused. But again, Azoni's hourglass, plus me coming in from the side, still completely full. I can do damage and tank it. Brom's a support at this point, and has relatively little in the way of tanky items, you know, bruiser items. He's not doing much damage. He is blocking a lot though, and I do have to back off before he gets his concussive blowdown, which is a really annoying passive, which, yeah, that's for another time. Another thing to note by this point, I've picked up a Warden's Mail, because they're an all-AD team, you want to pick up some armour at that point. I've also got the Giant's Belt just to buff up my health, and I've managed to finish the Blade of the Rune King. Compared to Yasuo, who's building more AD, he's got a Vamp Center for some lifesteal. My Blade of the Rune King gives me about 5% more, and he's gone a bit more of an AD carry style build. It looks like he's trying to build up Bloodthirster. Ezreal's recently just come down to see the start of Baron, however he's had to back off, and he's back in now due to low mana. Brom comes in, but this pink ward placed earlier that's lasted a fair amount of the game denies that. However, you can see Ezreal, Zed, Yasuo, Brom, they're all moving in. However, we have the timer. So, one thing to point out, their jungler's overreduced blue again, and he's just due to smite. Our jungler's here, unfortunately he gets killed, but if our jungler had managed to stay alive during that, we would have had more chance in this to get this dragon. Probably one thing that I can take from this is just try and be around during those types of fights, because you can see I was still in the mid lane at that point. I needed to be there, probably on the front line, tanking up the damage that they were doing, and probably taking one to the concussive blows. As you can see, they managed to turn that into 1 kill, and they'd start dodging all the skill shots. However, Alistair comes in, I'm still on full health, and I go into my dragon form, and I start doing a fair bit of damage, taking the full health carries down to low health, and eventually no health. Ezreal runs off, but still fires a few skill shots over the wall. Zed and Shaco are extremely low and should be running away at this point. Zed just manages to escape, Shaco manages to escape, and Braum manages to escape, but all of them are now low enough that they're not going to have much of an effect on any push or anything like that. Notice the time is 32 minutes, and they're down to 2 inhibitor turrets. We still got all our T2s up. Small effects, but they'll have a big effect in the end. They would require a lot, an extra turret to take them down. You can see here another siege of this middle tower. We've probably sieged this 2 or 3 times before, and this time with only Zed defending, and me at the front line, along with our other off-tank Alistair. AD carries there, it falls pretty quickly. I have to ulti away, but Shyvana's ultimate can be as low as a 30-second cooldown, and for what it does to the player and for the player, that's really low. We all managed to get away, but at the moment there's no objectives to take. Dragon's just gone down. However, we are, well, what's that, 7, 8k up in gold? We are now 3 turrets up as well. They no longer have anything on this middle inhibitor. No turret, no nothing. That is something to bear in mind for later, as it can be backdoored. However, notice Yasuo pushing up the top lane. He ends up taking a turret and does a lot of backdooring throughout this game. And we end up losing a Shaco as well during this fight. Now, we end up splitting up for some reason. I go up towards blue, Alistair backs to this bush here and recalls. Zara probably should have gone with him, recalling. However, the two of them managed to get picked up in the end, which is unfortunate, but I believe they both get away with their life. Another mistake we made was only a few minutes after that fight. You can see we're recalling the bottom lane, 20 seconds to go up. We end up losing two turrets, an inhibitor turret and a T1, just due to letting him sit up there and battle him. Twitch sits behind the wind wall and it just falls. This is something we could have stopped by recalling slightly earlier, and then we would have been there to defend. But we noticed this turret falling down. We didn't expect him to push it down. At this point, this top lane's a real weakness for us. We've just lost 2 turrets, and it's an exposed inhibitor. We can lose that later on. Something can be quite scary. However, Dragon had just respawned. We've lost our massive gold lead, but Shaco decides to start Dragon, and in the end, if you recall correctly, he does get it. And you can see Alistair roaming down towards the middle lane, and the minion wave is just right so that if he wants to backdoor it, he can. At the moment there, I believe he stopped for a second, and he ends up dropping a ward near the inhibitor, and I and Shyvana end up going down there. His damage to it, as you can see, is minimal, and it would take a while. Even with that, even with his ulti on, he's doing not much. Me, I come down and start spamming my Q and whatnot, and I'm trying to clear the minion wave, but they end up focusing him for some reason, even though I'm closer to them in the inhibitor. At this point, Zed comes to focus down. I make the call just to focus the inhibitor and run away. Taking that down will make up the fact that we've just lost the top inhibitor, as Shaco had made a push on that just minutes earlier. Same mistake as last time, we just weren't back at base. We're all really far out, and it was a bear inhibitor, we shouldn't have left it. Again, they did the same mistake, and I've left a ward near there. Oh, sorry, Alice left a ward near there, so if we do need it in future, we've got it. And we also have vision of their mid lane. We also have vision of Baron Pit, and this is something important that comes up soon, as it's a 42 minutes into the game. Baron at this point would be exceptionally useful. Dragon's up in 2 minutes, and Yasuo goes over and drops a ward near Baron, meaning they have also got vision if we try to start it, something we didn't realise at the time. Braum is there and we don't see him, we just see Yasuo, although we see it after the ward is placed. And it's just a case of just trying to poke him down to see if we can't get any poke onto him. And you can see I'm trying out my E. At this point as well, we've got 2 Sulfur Capes on the team, which means, whilst we're in the team fight, we're doing just that bit more damage. And we end up having a team fight during which the blue buff spawns, which are quite ironic actually. Zed ends up getting that, which slight advantage to him. But we are 36 to 25 in kills. We're 9k up in gold. Advantage is slightly on our side at this point. We do end up winning that fight, but not without losses. Now this clip, or this part, is going to be an extended one, and again I'm going to focus on Shyvana for this bit. But you can see me and Alistair start pushing down the bottom lane, and Twitch ends up coming to join us. The turret's on about half health at this point, and the whole enemy team has just dived us. We have no way of taking it, and we all end up falling. However, later on, due to the weakened turret, due to the push lane, it does make an effect later on. And at this point, Zed had double buffs as well, so we knew roughly timings on their buffs. Notice how they start pinging Baron as well. That they have vision of Baron due to a pink ward. That's not going to expire until we go and check it, and we really have no reason to check it. I make the call saying, well, it looks like that we can see them moving out of middle lane due to minions and whatnot, and we can see them moving up to that area. We've got 3 people dead. They could very easily go for Dragon. I do start making the call to, go check it. We get the Dragon, but again, they're going for Baron, which is something that would give them the edge, and they end up going for it. We're still 10 seconds, 20 seconds away, and they do end up getting it. I had pinged it a number of times and said the call in chat. That is probably the one thing that they could have done to bring them back. Is when a team fight get Baron, we see them very quickly. I believe it's either Ez or Zed we see very soon. Might even be Yasuo over there. But we end up seeing it, and so we now have a timer on it as well. If the game goes on for another 8 minutes, I believe Baron timer is, we have the time, we can go get it ourselves. We can at least contest for it. At this point, we are 72 to 65k in gold. Both teams are getting close to 5-6 items. You can see I'm on 4 as a top lane tank. Our AD carry is on 6. That, our 2 big carries at the moment, all the big carries have all 6 items. This is an incredibly late game kind of moment, and it's this kind of carry of us having 2 carries compared to their kind of 1.5 Yasuo being the half at that point, since he didn't exactly get as fed as he could have. This is something that comes into play later, and you can see their half carry and their Shaco, who really has had a tough time from the start since the stole his blue. You can see that both of them have lost the Baron buff very quickly. This Baron buff comes in, really is a non kind of factor in this, due to the fact that only 2 of them have it anymore. On 5 members, yes, it's a big advantage. On 2, if the game was a bit closer, maybe, but we have more kills than them. Admittedly, in a 1v1, the one with Baron will probably win, but we just have the more kills, and the kills are where they are needed, almost. It would have been nice to have a few more on Zyra, but Zyra is more of a utility mid than a carry mid, so in the end it didn't matter too much. At this point, we didn't realise at the time, but Ezreal was AFK, disconnected, and Yasuo's dead. The 2 men down, at the time we just thought they were 1 man down. Shaco's trying to defend, but we take this inhibitor again. We end up going down bot, and I'd go forward a bit, just, check vision, see if there's anybody else nearby, but it's just Shaco at the moment, and they really have nobody else anywhere on the map. 2 Sunfire Capes, we're doing a fair bit of, damage. And Zyra pushing out, just clearing out that wave. I actually decided to go down and try and stall that lane, and which is just clearing out the minions as they come up. You can see Baron's only 2 minutes away, and Zed reconnects, thankfully. So it turns out there were 2 men disconnected. Ez is still disconnected, however. So it is a bit unfair with a 5v3, but, that's just how League is. As you can see, we start at lane, there's no more minions to push it for them. And at this point we see, possibly a siege down bot. The minions are on the way. It's a 2v2 at bot, and we have 2 others left on the map. There's every potential for us to poke some more damage onto this turret, since it's regen what we did before. You can see Alistar nearly gets stunned due to the concussive shot. We get a bit of a knock-up from Yasuo, but he doesn't decide to go with it. And it is just a case of from then on of poking it forward. However, they do both have shields, one blocking projectiles and one reducing damage severely, meaning that our damage to these 2 will be reduced, especially the range. That's the point where Yasuo goes in, Zyra comes down to help us. Shaco's pushing top, but our Shaco's back in base and has more fed, has more kills, has more items, etc, etc. You can see down at the bottom, almost everyone's got full build at this point. We managed to push the tower, and little did we realise at the time, but there's actually minions in the base. They have 2 super minions in the base. So Braum had to go back and defend this, which means we can now get this inhibitor. And we just decided to keep pushing, we figured one next turret down, other one falls quickly to Twitch, and from then on it was just an accidental win in a sense. Somebody had actually called don't go for the bottom lane cheese, but it worked. From that we managed to win. At this point it's on 30 HP, and you can see the projectiles going. There's numerous minions. At this point there's no way of them winning. Baron never actually did get a chance to respawn, and that one Baron they did have was a non-factor in the game. Now, admittedly, good game all around. It was a fairly fun game. It was close. It was 51 minutes, 52 minutes nearly. But, that's just my analysis of it. As always, thanks for watching me while gaming. I just want to say, I'm not back for... I'm not done with the stuff that was going on beforehand. That's still going on, and it's going to be a few more weeks before that's over, but once it is, I'm going to try to go back to maybe about 3-4 videos a week, uploading when I can. You know, this is just a quick one to say, you know, I'm still here, I still exist. Let me know what you think of this kind of thing, of, you know, looking at games, looking at plays, looking at different moments, decisions, things like that. And, you know, there was also one other day I had of just looking at different champions and their abilities and their skill sets and how I play them. Now this isn't that be the sort of thing where I'd look at champions I enjoy playing, potentially ones I'm really good with. At the moment I'm enjoying Shyvana, and I might move on to Swain as well, just as someone to play mid, maybe even AP top. Thanks, Salas. But anyway, that's all for this time. Like I say, let me know what you think. Comment section down below. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. For now I'm a bit sketchy on the uploads, but soon I'll be uploading at minimum weekly. So I'll catch you next time.